They lay entangled, moving very slowly. They kissed until the kissing became a torture, and the body grew restless. Their hands always found yielding flesh an opening. The fur they lay on gave off an animal odor, which mingled with the odors of... Now, as much as I'm sure you'd like me to continue reading that, and as much as I would enjoy that, I'm not sure in this mecca of people and culture we would be allowed to do that. So instead, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and share a quote with you from the same author, Anais Nin, renowned essayist, part-time erotica author, and controversial feminist, actually. Oh, back. Oh no, terrible mistake. Oh, buddy, I had it. It's okay. Hey, you own this place. Okay, so, awesome. So I like this quote for two reasons. The first is that I think it's a really good metaphor for human potential. It reads, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in as a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." I think this is a really great metaphor for human potential. Are you the bud or are you the blossomed flower? In my experience, when I think about the people who kind of get through all the difficulties and dealing with all the feedback and the constant failure in the entrepreneurial scene, whether you're an employee or running the show, these are people who have purpose. Because people with purpose are able to sort of persevere because they're doing it for reasons that go well beyond just the task at hand. The other reason I like this quote is just because of the wonderful sort of artistic visualization it gives us. So let's look at that for a second. Is this you? Or is this you? And is this these your colleagues and or your company? Or is this what your company looks like? Which is what ultimately happens when people are purpose-driven, each individual, and they're aligned together, rowing in the same direction, where individuals get together with the group, and they get together with the team and the company, and everything works together. So have you blossomed in your role, whether that's at work or in community? And what about your company? Do you think it's blossomed? My message today relates to some of the most severe mistakes I've made in my entrepreneurial journey. I haven't been non-negotiable on whether or not you're allowed to work with Chimp if you just think charity's cool. My rule should be you're not allowed to work at Chimp if you just think charity's cool. You actually need to really want to empower the human spirit of charity. And if you don't, cool, man, I hope you succeed in whatever you're up to doing, and let's become friends, and please use Chimp. But you can't work here. And I've made a lot of mistakes on that. When I think about purpose, also, I'm actually not convinced that everyone thinks that they have a purpose. And I don't think that sometimes that they have the confidence to go deep and down inside to them and ask themselves that difficult question. What is my purpose? Why am I here? I think of a Mark Twain quote. The best, and I'm going to hack this one, but like the best days of your life are the day you were, or the most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. So my advice to you is know your purpose. Link your personal purpose with with the organizational purpose of the company that you work for. And ultimately get your tasks aligned in with that as well. And if you can, it's going to be cool. And if there's purpose misalignment, guys, talk to someone about it. Talk to your best friends. Talk to your wife, husband, partner. Talk to someone inside the company. Maybe you can find a different role. Maybe you have to leave. It's better for you. It's better for the company. So what about me? Real quick. What's my purpose? Well, if this was a stock, you wouldn't want to own it unless you knew how to short sell. But this is what the charitable culture in Canada looks like. It's going down. Participation is declining. So my personal purpose is to reverse this decline. So I work for an organization / had something to do with starting it, but I work for an organization that exists to empower you to give on your terms, when, where, how you want to. If you're the average person in the room, if you give, you only give when you're asked, and your companies are the same way. And I do my best, and this is way easier said than done. I do my best, though, to figure out what am I going to do next, and make sure that that is as much as possible in alignment with my own personal purpose and the organizational purpose of Chimp. And when that happens, magic occurs, and shareholders win, even if you don't need them to. Thanks very much. Questions, happy to take anything. Alex.
You said you made mistakes about choosing people because you couldn't understand their purpose. What were the mistakes in hiring that related to the purpose?
Yeah, I think what the mistake was just not being non-negotiable on how much you were in alignment with the company. So, you know, so actually it has nothing to do with the talent and the potential of these people sometimes. It actually has to do with whether or not you're willing to wake up every morning and be really psyched about what you're achieving. And when you're a small company, you have to be non-negotiable on a couple things, A, and B, the people, while the CEO in theory sets the culture, and I agree with that, it's also the people that you hire first, and then the people you hire second, and the rings around that develop and manifest the culture. And if there's poison in there, it hurts.
Can you tell us the before and after you switched your policies for hiring?
Well, so the question is, can you tell you the before and after? You know, this is a constantly moving ship, right? We don't stop just because we don't think we have 100% people alignment. So actually, it's something closer to starting to put the policies in place that sort of say, listen, whoever's doing the hiring. So one of my jobs was I took myself out of hiring, actually, because I'm way too optimistic. Hey, everyone here, you guys are all awesome. And if you're a developer or product person, come and talk to us because we need you. But, you know, so sort of saying to the people who are conducting the hire, like, we got to be non-negotiable on these terms. And the way we set that out was, if you want to save the world, great, we'll talk to you. And if you have skills, then we'll keep talking to you. But if you don't have kind of both of those things with that align, not just in I want to save the world kind of hand wavy stuff, but like I'm actually really interested in my own personal story here that relates to why I want to save the world. We started doing a better job at stopping that conversation and moving on to the next potential hire.
So does that just apply to employees or does that apply to clients?
Yeah, great question, actually. Does that just apply to employees or does it apply to clients? It's non-negotiable for employees. The reason it doesn't apply to clients in my context is because the charitable paradigm we're in, if I can use these terms, is what I refer to as a fundraising paradigm, in that you actually don't give unless you're asked. If someone doesn't fundraise at you, you don't give. Why? I mean, my ultimate reason is because there's nowhere to learn how to give. Actually, it's a real core problem, okay? But so it doesn't apply to clients because anything you're willing to do to dip your toe in the pool, go a little deeper, we think that's great. So we're trying to empower the human spirit of charity at Chimp, and if you're just willing to even play with the idea, you're our friend. Great question, though. Ma'am. So when we were like 5 or 6 people, it wasn't a problem. And then when we went to 15, it was like, you know, maybe we made a couple mistakes, but we really need those people, and it's tough to hire in this market, particularly in the product and dev sector. But when we jumped to sort of the 40 mark, when we doubled to that, that's when we realized, often after the fact, that maybe we had made some mistakes. And it often didn't have to do with the skill set of the individual. It often had to do with whether or not they were actually really stoked on what we're doing. And I don't mean like, yeah, Chimp's really cool. I'd love to get paid pretty well to do meaningful work, if that's what charitable work means to you. It's actually more about, what about inside you? What's your personal story with charity, and why does that matter to you? And if you don't have that story, come back when you do, and we'll talk then. So that's the shift that we're trying to make. Yeah, last question. Anyone? Anyone? Oh, sir. My fundamental reason, so 30 seconds, my fundamental reason is because it's not taught. If you go back, sort of way back into like Elizabethan England, which is where our charitable law comes from today, which is a different old school story, you see that it really comes out of religious motivated circles where there's a theological rationale for giving, and that then infused into families, and families then adopted some of those religious beliefs and theologies and taught them to their children. As you see sort of less people practicing charity, you're not losing generosity. In fact, my very strong belief, and I think science supports this belief, is that altruism is innate. But if that innate altruism isn't nurtured, guess what's not going to happen, right? If you're not nurtured at math, guess who's not becoming good at computer science, know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're not teaching charity. And schools, they don't teach charity, man, they fundraise. And workplaces, generally speaking, they don't nurture people's development into charitable giving on their own terms. They bring you something to give to and they ask for money. And I've got to be a little bit careful in saying that's bad, but ultimately my one-liner on it is that while fundraising has succeeded at financing charities, it has failed at developing a culture of giving, and that's scary for the charitable sector. There's a lot of our socioeconomic fabric in Canada that is built on top of charitable and or nonprofit services, schools, religion, poverty-related stuff, health, art, aspects of culture. And if the funding for that goes away, well, let's at least start the conversation on how we're going to deal with it. But ultimately my answer is because it's just not taught. Therefore, while people are nice and they're generous, they don't really know how to channel that into a plan.